Hello everyone, Jose J. Garcia, real estate investor, coach, and mentor here. So our coaching series Sundays continues. Tonight is a Q&A. We haven't had these in a few months. I was actually trying to look back through YouTube and seeing when the last one was. It's been a while. We used to try to have these once a month, once every 3 weeks or so. It really depended on the questions. So once we had a good 20, 30 questions, we said, let's go ahead and have a Q&A. So I have a lot of questions that we accumulated. And of course, a lot of them are repeated kind of like, so, and then there are those that stick out, not more important, but I think more so those that get asked more repeatedly, if you will. So we obviously pick those and we just we'll keep having these. So now with Monica here to ask the questions, it'll make it a lot easier. But during this call, if you do have a question of yourself that you don't hear, just make sure you drop a comment on there, or towards the end, you can also unmute yourself and just let us know. We'll be sure to answer that question for you. But all right, well, let's get started. We also, real quick, I am posting these on YouTube. Again, we try to help everybody out. That's what we're doing this for, is to deliver the mobile home investing education for you. I'm actually trying to upload a video as we speak, and then we got a couple more. Somebody asked me the other day, you haven't uploaded as many YouTube videos as you used to. Why? I'm busy, but we will, promise. So I'm doing that now. So Monica, let's go ahead and get started. I know we have a few people here who are still trying to join. I've already hit accept, so as soon as they come in, we can. But all right, so again, welcome everybody. Monica, you have a few questions, yes. So we put these together. Just go ahead and fire them back to back, and we'll move along.
Yes, a lot of questions are going to be, like you said, back to back. Some are for new investors and some for experienced investors. But one of the questions that one of our investors have is, how much money is it needed to start on your mobile home business?
How much money do you need to get started on mobile home business? It depends what you're trying to get started with. I always tell people that, and I didn't start out this way, but you can start with wholesale. You can start being a bird dog, a connector. You can get paid for your time, not really so much for investing. So that would answer that. But if you're trying to get into right away a rental, rent to own, something you can rehab, then I would say at that point you would need pocket capital. 5,000 to 7,000 should be able to get you a deal if you know what you're doing.
Awesome. Okay, so now, should a new investor specialize on trying to help every seller? Sometimes our new investors, we get carried away, right? And sellers call us and we want to try to help everyone, but it's impossible. But what do you think?
That's a good question. I like the way it was put. Not so much should I buy every deal, but instead, should I try to help every seller? That's a win-win. Whoever asked that, awesome. Yes and no. I mean, try to help every seller, like you said, but again, it's got to be a deal at the end of the day. I forgot I was going to make a real deal today, and it was moving them. Somebody needed to move a mobile home, and they overpaid. I knew from the get-go, the way they were talking, how I need to get my money back. She kept repeating herself. I need to make my money back. So I finally asked, because that's usually one of my last questions, is how much do you want for the mobile home? And she said, well, I got $8,500 into it. So right away, of course, I'm thinking that's too much money. And that would be one of those where I could have still tried to help her out, but I could not offer that. Now, if somebody over offered or overpaid for a mobile home, you're not here to clean up their mistakes in a way. So that's one of those where I would say, if it does not check out in the number sense, you cannot take that deal.
Awesome. Yep. Okay. And so what does your average deals look like for a new investor, especially? They want to know the numbers, they want to know exactly what they will gain back from that mobile home. What will be an average deal that looks, what is it? What would it look like?
Success. There's no deal the same. There's no investment the same. Everything is different. I mean, that's from labor, material, holding. I mean, everything is different. So an ideal number, I mean, we could be talking about a rental, a wholesale, a flip. I mean, on average, again, it's numbers you have to keep in mind. So I want to make X amount of percentage ROIs before I say, yes, I'm moving on, or no, I'm not. I mean, let's just say to answer that question, and whoever asked that question, if you're on this call, go ahead and be a little more specific, but let's just say it's a rent to own. I would say 200% minimum.
200%. Okay. So then what will be the square footage that you would suggest for us to buy a mobile home? Like, what will be the minimum square footage?
Whoever asked that, you're a real estate investor. So square footage, we don't do that in mobile homes unless you make it part of real estate, then you would count it as such. you would be talking more in the sense of times. So let's say if it's a single wide, it would be a 12 by 60, 14 by 70, 16 by 80. If it's a double wide, then it would double, obviously 24 by 48 or 50 or whatever. So if they need something larger, they would more so be talking in the sense of bedrooms and bathrooms, not so much square footage.
Okay. So now there's some investors that they have money and they have the time, and if they've never done mobile home investing, they're asking if you recommend for them to buy mobile home parks right away.
I mean, you can. I coach a lot of park owners that they jump in onto a deal because they had the money, the funds, the means, whatever, and they were able to find a deal. And then they really didn't know what to do past that. So, I mean, definitely lock up a deal if you can, but I would say do your homework and or get coached.
Awesome. Okay, so then how do they get the ARV for a mobile home? Because you know how we don't use Zillow, we don't use Realtor.com or anything like that. So how do we get the ARV for a mobile home?
After repair value, you have to do the legwork. No, we do not have the traditional luxury like real estate, so we don't have those sites. You just have to make a few phone calls. I will start with the park manager and ask them what has sold in the past 30, 60, and 90 days.
All right, so next one, how do you get private money to invest in mobile homes? Do you need to at the beginning?
If you need money, sure. There are hard and private money lenders for that. There is no traditional, no banks, credit unions are going to lend you, definitely not on a mobile home, and even less on you to go invest in a mobile home. So the only source, if you can't use credit cards, your money, you probably need to reach out to a private money lender or hard money lender. What was the question?
Yeah, if they, where would they go find a private lender?
Oh yeah, I mean they're out there. Anybody with money, you can start with the local RIAs and just connect with people, network.
Okay, awesome. I know Mr. Charles over here, she's asking, what is the best way to find deals?
Join us on Tuesday.
Yes.
Join us on Tuesday. Let's do deals.
Yes.
So best way to find off-market deals would be, I'm sure that's what he's asking. Social media, blast, post ads, be consistent.
Okay, great. Next one, how do I get the comps when selling a mobile home? Since again, we're not talking traditional regular home, we're talking about mobile homes. How to get the comps to know how much to sell it for?
Same way. I mean, you got to do the legwork. We don't have the luxury. So I will start with park management. And again, ask them what has sold. Now, I don't stop there. I mean, that's just usually the first source because they work in the park. Most of them even live in the park. So they're able to tell you what has sold. When you comp, make sure that you're comping. I was talking to an investor this week who was destined to compare a double wide to a single wide. We just wasn't clicking that a 3-bedroom, 2-bath double wide and a single wide 2-2 didn't compare. But okay. So if you do comparables, make sure that you're comparing similar or equal to the best of. Yes, you can remove some money and reduce it and whatever. But again, you know, especially if the park is big enough, somebody has sold or, you know, in the past 30, 60, 90 days. So just compare to what's equal.
Yeah, okay. I've driven by the parks and I literally ask people questions like the neighbors. And that's the way where I find out how much they have sold the properties around that area. So let me see. And then to find sellers and buyers, how would you do that?
Social media, again, I mean, blast, you know, there's different ways to advertise physically. I would say the best source is to go ahead and advertise on social media, Facebook, Craigslist, Letgo, Classified, OfferUp. And those are just a few that I use personally, but there's many others that people constantly suggest. If they're out there, if they're free, especially, use them. Just make sure you're consistent.
Great. Now, should we create a buyer's list before buying a mobile home?
I was about to say that. Most of you should be getting a buyer's list anyway before you get a product, almost like the Apple method way, right? First, you get the buyer, and then you know what to shop for. So now you know what the supply versus the other way around, which is fine. If you get a deal, you get a deal. You're not going to pass it up, but then you're kind of working backwards. So yeah, absolutely. Advertise out there. And I would post something as simple as, hey, I will have mobile home inventory coming available. Any buyers? And see what kind of list you get.
Yeah, awesome. I hope everybody's finding this very informative. It's really awesome. And I hope you all taking notes. As a new investor, should we JV partners with other investors? Do you recommend that, or do our first deal by ourselves first, or what would be that way? What would be the way?
I mean, if you need money again, then, there's one reason for it. I would say this: when you're getting started, keep it simple. Too many people are trying to complement too many things. They're over educating. Maybe I want to use that term, and they're learning how to do JVs or learning how to find private money. And you don't need none of that because you got the money and you got the resources. So if you only need that, then go ahead and use it. But if not, keep it simple.
All right. Awesome. So how long does it take from the beginning when you get the mobile home, that you fix it up, and then you put it in the market to sell? What will be an average days or weeks or months that you would say that it would take for it to sell?
Well, if you're going to do like a rent to own or rental that you're getting from start to finish, I mean, to rehab the home in itself, it shouldn't take you more than about 3-ish weeks, maybe 4 if you need to gut some to a certain extent. To sell it out in the market, I don't know. The market here is kind of funny now. COVID, I think, did some funny moves on us, but
Okay.
on average, you should be in and out for 6 to 7 weeks total.
6 to 7 weeks. Okay. Okay. So then we bump into this. If we find a seller that really needs to sell a mobile home, and the mobile home, it's a good price for you to buy it at, but they don't have the title for it, what should we do?
I don't like them. So it depends. It depends on which state they're in. If you're in Alabama, buy it all day long. Get a bill of sale and you should be fine. And I say that because Alabama seems like nobody has a title, even newer mobile homes. And the reason is because I don't want to say the law there with mobile homes are so loosely, but they accept bill of sales for everything, even moving them just fine. So, but in Georgia, if it's coming from park owner, park management, and it's only a bill of sale, I'd be pretty quickly to make that deal. But if it's a direct seller, you better do a pretty long, extensive due diligence. That title could be somewhere with the lien on it. It could have a lien and they're just claiming not to have it. I mean, there's a lot of things that can be in there. So I would say do a real long, thorough due diligence and make sure, verify and verify. And if it all checks out, then I would still be wondering, why do you not have a title? But then, I would see if we can move forward.
Okay, awesome. So where do you see the future of the mobile home business going? Where's it headed to?
Multiplying. It's going to grow.
Multiplying.
The need for housing, it continues to grow in America because there's a shortage. And when it comes to affordable living, it's even larger now more than ever. And I don't want to get into this, but now there's a correction coming. So it's going to boom.
Awesome. Yes, I believe so too. When you sell a mobile home, should we accept cash, or do you have other options so we don't carry too much cash in our hands? Any other apps, any other suggestions?
Don't take a check, personal check especially. Definitely don't. Cashier's check, money order is fine. I prefer wire overall. I like to make sure that everything is documented accordingly from their side, my side. Cash, I wouldn't suggest it, especially, I mean, I don't know how much cash that would be, but if you're selling one of these RTOs and somebody has 20,000 cash, I would suggest go put it in your bank and wire it to me. Don't bring me 20,000 cash over here.
Okay, awesome. Great. Should we buy mobile homes to move, or do you suggest for us to, as beginners, to buy mobile homes that are in a park, that we don't have to move?
Again, I would say keep it simple. When it comes to moving a mobile home, there's a little bit more hands-on, a little bit more work. Like anything else, the more you do, practice makes you better. But starting out, I think that may be a little too much for you to deal with. So I would say keep, mobile homes, they can stay in a park.
Awesome. Okay. So as a new investor, did you suggest for us to start with wholesaling or rentals?
I don't know. Depends on what you want to do and how much money you got. I mean, I didn't start with wholesale. I started with rentals. So now I would have done wholesale, but I was quite stubborn about trying to learn the paperwork. And it wasn't until later that, okay, let me get into this kind of thing, just as part of exploring all exit strategies. But I would say both on something like that. If you can do rentals right away and hold some for, passive income every month, do it. And then why not wholesale? Everybody on this call right now should be wholesaling every day.
Yes. Okay. Awesome. Anybody have any questions that I'm not asking right now? You feel free to put it in the chat. I'm looking at the chat as well. Okay, so you have mentioned that when we move the mobile homes to do the 50-mile radius or less, but what is the furthest that you would suggest for us to move the mobile homes? What's the furthest?
Somebody tried to move a mobile home from, what was it, Jacksonville, Florida to Charleston, South Carolina.
Okay, that was
I don't know if y'all know what that looks like, but it's not going to happen. So yes. So on average, so here's how it works, okay, or how you try to operate this. And I do this from a wholesale standpoint. If I had my own park, it might be a little differently. But so 50 miles radius is about what a transportation company likes to move them. That's, you know, from one point A to point B. Also, what happens after 50 miles is every mile after that could be anywhere from 20, 30, even $40 per mile to move them. So think about that expense. To move a single wide, you're talking 2, 3K. You want to start adding $30, $40 per mile after that. Okay. Now you may have a connection, whatever it may be. But on average, you typically don't move a mobile home more than about 100 miles. I've seen it, yes, move more further than that. I would not move one more than 100 miles.
Okay, perfect. Okay, we have a question in the chat. It says, what is the biggest telltale sign that this might not be a good park to invest in?
Excessive rules and regulations, run down. People living there. I mean, a few things that you can, you know, you got to learn how to grade a park. That would be one of them. I don't do, not discriminating, but I don't do business in parks that are C minus, or there's just too many things there that I don't agree with. And then there are parks, you know, even one where we started first originally investing, where the rules are beyond excessive. Every time it's changing. So something like that. You have to be able to do business where you're investing. So.
Okay, awesome. So the other one would be best way that I can verify the mobile home title.
Due diligence. I mean, there's qpublic.net you can go on. Depends on which state, city, county you may be in. Some are more public, some are not. Some you have to pay. You can call the DMV, tax assessors. They may give you excess amount of information or none at all. You can take the title and verify it inside the mobile home, or with the tongue in front of the mobile home if it still has it on there. So there's a few ways.
Okay. So there's the investors that have money, that they have the money to invest because they've done investments in real estate, but they're not really sure about the mobile homes. What would you tell them to get started on this, on the mobile home business?
I mean, check out the ROIs and numbers. I mean, it doesn't matter. An investor will invest on anything that makes sense in the number sense. So if somebody needed to see why it is worth getting into mobile homes, it is be as simple as show them what the ROIs are at. Real estate does not have ROIs like mobile homes do.
Okay, yep, that's true. So if they're trying to get into a park manager, but they have not had luck to be able to get into a park management, what would you tell them or suggest for them to talk to them about? Like, how would they speak to a apartment manager, to a mobile home park manager? What would you tell them?
They have not had luck getting into the park.
Yeah, they're trying to, but they don't know how to get, like, how to build that relationship with the park manager. Make
it about them, make it a win-win. Okay. Investors typically tend to talk in sense of them and what they're going to do. You ain't even approved yet. You're already talking about what you're going to do. So instead of that, is make it about how you can help the park, how you can better the park, whatever service it is that you're providing. You know, if you move mobile homes already, I'm sure any and every park that you do business with will have at least one empty pad. That's one service. If they have distress, obviously you can take on that. If they have mobile homes that are sitting, but they can't do anything with, I'm going to make a video on this, by the way. You know, mobile homes that are sitting in a mobile home park, many times, if a park manager tells you, we can't sell those, I would ask, do you mind? Well, why can you not sell those? Typically, it's because there's something going on with the paperwork. Maybe they had to evict the tenant. The tenant obviously took the title. They're not going to willingly turn in the title. So therefore, they're trying to do that. And most times, the park managers just give up on them. I just let them sit there. We're not going to worry about those. Well, if you can be a problem solver, come in and fix that issue, you can take on that mobile home many times for free or little to no money.
Awesome. And what would you say to the people that are coming into this business and they think it's too is too overwhelming. They're just afraid to come in. If you were to get started in this business all over again, what would you have done different that would help all of us to make that leap of faith into this business?
Educate yourself. I mean, you're not going to learn everything behind a screen, a computer, but I mean, if I'd known even slightly some of this here, what some investors know now, when I got started, I would have been further ahead. Get coach, get mentor. If you can't or you don't want to do that, I mean, start with YouTube. There's plenty of videos either for myself or other people out there. It's only overwhelming if you let it. I mean, you know, the hardest thing is always that first deal.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I agree. And tell us, can you guide us through the process of a mobile home closing? What's the process?
Of a what?
Mobile home closing.
Closing of a mobile home. Well, there ain't enough time on here. That's a whole due diligence process. But typically, I mean, it is having the due diligence done, make sure that everything checks out, make sure the numbers check out, make sure there's no liens on title. I'm just listing the most important. Taxes have to be up to date, of course, and if not, you need to be aware of it. Lot rent, obviously, if it's in a park, you want to make sure that that's not owed, or the park management there can try to hold you accountable. Can they? Not really. There's a gray area there. And then that the title checks out, and if so, do the closing, if all possible, at the DMV or tax assessor's office. Apply a bill of sale to it, and call me if you need my help. So there's a lot of little things there.
Okay, well, I know we're getting to the 30-minute question answer. Do you want to continue? Anybody else have any other questions that we have not covered yet? Feel free to put it in the chat. Or anybody want to jump into the call?
Yeah, if anybody has any questions, you can ask those. I mean, like I said, we got plenty more for another Q&A. And if you don't want to ask it on here, you're always able to email it to Monica here. She can put it on for the next call. But sure, what are the questions that we have?
Let's see. The other one is the mobile home market getting too congested? I see too many people doing it. Being new, I'm not sure if I can complete this.
Well, there's no competition in mobile home investing. There's only more people to network with. So I would say, yeah, there's definitely a lot more people doing it now, but don't let that discourage you, because there is plenty of deals. You know, mobile home investing is much like real estate. Every state has mobile homes, some more than others. But I mean, you know, it's only going to continue to grow. So if you're trying to get into it now.
Awesome. Okay. Let me see one more. I think we only have one more. You've said that there are less cash buyers now opposed to beginning of the year. I don't want to tie up my money. Should I wait until then to invest?
You want to wait until tomorrow to start?
They want to wait until next year to see what happens.
That's even worse. No, I mean, yeah, there is less cash buyers towards the end of the year. Now is the time when a lot of people are more so focused on Thanksgiving, New Year's, Christmas, and that sort of thing. And then come January, mid to end of January, cash buyers everywhere. That is hot point for RTO flips. So, well, not RTOs, that would be a straight flip at that point. But no, I would say start by being a connector, you know, just putting time, or wholesaling. I mean, if you don't want to put your funds out there and have them held by because you don't want to do this, I mean, maybe you just don't want to finance. That's okay. But I would say wholesale until then, and then just be ready. Not to mention, I mean, what is it, the end of October now? So if you start it by the end of November-ish, give or take, by the time you rehab in December, January will be right there. So get started on something.
Okay. Well, I believe those are all the questions that we've had so far. But anyone have any other questions, go ahead and email me. I'm going to post my email here. So you can feel free to call me, text me, and we can ask those questions like here again.
Okay. As I was mentioning in the beginning, yes, I'm going to be posting a lot more videos on YouTube. Those are coming. Yes, absolutely. Now, what helps me post videos out there is your questions. So much like now, there's not a whole lot of people asking questions. And if you don't have questions, that's plenty fine. But if anything you come up with, you know, it helps us be able to deliver the best of education if we have those questions at hand. So Monica, I think, just posted her email on there, or her phone number. You can email it to her directly. We can make a video. I like to make videos on those questions that get asked over and over. So, I mean, you know, we'll try to deliver that on there. Of course, a lot of our social media, we're sharing a lot more stuff, but have a couple, Okay, I've answered that before. I got a direct message there. How can you tell a legit coach from a fake? Um, Fugazi is what my coach would say. That's what he would call a fake. Do your research. See the reviews. I would ask, how many people have you coached? And if so, do you mind sharing some of their contacts or their information or somehow, and just see if I want to hear from other people that have been coached by them. How was their experience? I'm not going to base that all on that though. That's kind of gray area on that.
I can answer a little bit on that since I'm one of your students
Go
as
ahead.
well. I think that what I found different about Mr. Garcia is that I've been into real estate for a while and I've gone into mentors and all of that, but I have never had it's been really hard to get a hold of them personally. And one thing that really intrigued me from Mr. Garcia is that he picked up his cell phone and he literally spoke to me and he mentioned a lot of things. He answered all my questions. And to me, it's like a process of being humble, you know. So when a person is humble, that means they know what they're doing, they feel confident, and they've done the deals. So I really like that about him, and that was a way for me to say to determine that he was going to be a very good mentor. And then for him to be available all the time, whether you text him, whether you call him, whether you email him and he responds, he doesn't send anybody else to answer, he does it himself. For me, that was a big plus. So that's a big deal.
Good. Thank you. Hello from Texas, Martha. Phil, good evening. How y'all doing? Central Standard Time over there, a little earlier. Okay. I think we got all the questions on here. Mark, appreciate it. Great feedback,
Yes,
sir. Thank you.
Okay,
well, we are at the 30-minute mark, so this was good. Definitely, I love to do a few more of these. These are very informative is what I'm getting here. So I'm good. That's what I want to do. I want to deliver that. So, and we want to make those straight to I had a student used to say, you deliver all the meat and potatoes. You got right into it and bang it out. So let's do that. Let's stop not a whole lot of chit chat and let's get right to it. Give y'all the information that y'all came on here for. So, okay, few announcements, but we're going to wait until probably tomorrow to advertise them on there. Be sure that on Tuesday you join us on Let's Do Deals. We got some new inventory. And I'm going to be traveling after that. So we're going to have a lot of more inventory coming after that. So stay tuned for that as well. But yes, busy week coming ahead. All right. Well, Monica, unless you have anything else, I think we are done for tonight.
Yes, I have one more thing. Just remember, we might change the date for the shadow event, and it's probably going to be the last one for the year. So I really highly suggest, for even if you've gone one time or two times, do it a third time, do it a fourth time, because every time you go, you learn something new. Right now, because I'm moving, but other than that, I'm gonna try to make it, as many as I can, because every time you go, you learn something new. And before the prices go up, because we're not sure the prices are gonna go higher or not next year, but this year, make it the best. Go to this event. Don't hesitate to call me. The information, because the seating is limited. Mr. Garcia only likes to take a few group of people because he wants to dedicate time to answer every question that each and every one of you might have. So I please suggest that you call me and let's do this. Let's go to the top. Let's do this. So call me if you have any questions, email me. And again, I'll let you know. I'll be posting on Facebook the date that Mr. Garcia is going to decide to switch it to sometime in November, but it's going to be the last one of the year. So try to make it.
Okay. Well, that being said, we'll have a few more announcements on Tuesday evening. So, okay. Well, Monica, thank you for joining. And all of you on here, definitely thank you for joining. We have recorded this call. We will share it. So catch the recap if you want to watch the replay. Thank you all. Yes. Have a good night.
Thank you. Bye.